This isn't a nice video, podcast, audio message I'm about to give, but it's something that's been crossing my mind, and I think probably this has crossed other people's minds as well. And this is the levels of suicide that we are going to see from this point forward, and the reality of the pandemic, and I use that word not lightly, pandemic of suicides we've seen over the past decade and more, particularly of white males of my kind of age range and older. And this has been down to economic pressures and just simply the inability they feel to live up to society's expectations. You know, you've got Beckham in a £42 million penthouse. You've got these comedians that come out on stage and rip the piss out of everyone, get paid millions for their tours, and good on them if they're coming up with original work. I'm not knocking that, but it makes the average man, particularly if he fails financially, feel very bad. And I think this is a known factor anyway. But what's coming up for so many men and women, don't forget, I'm not a sexist person at all. I just, I have an affinity, obviously, for men of my age group, knowing about the clergy plan, knowing what's underway, knowing about the levels of infertility and economic pressure. It's natural for me to, look at my demographic, my age group, my location, if you like, my nationality, and feel for my common man at this stage. And my common man is spread across the world: America, Canada, Australia, South Africa, Great Britain, many places, many places. It extends to Scandinavia, it extends to Spain, obviously, Portugal, France, Germany, Poland, the Ukraine, Russia, even. We are our fellow man. You can argue our extended family really does spread around the world. We really don't know, because the history of our migrations and patterns have been hidden for so long. And this is part of the problem. People are disconnected now. Even they don't understand their old trade routes. The colour purple, not the film with Whoopi Goldberg. I mean the colour purple. If people understood how a colour was introduced to the northern Europeans, they'd marvel at the historic story and tale of the colour purple. Really. So the disconnection between our past and our future is causing, and has caused over the past decade or so, a lot of men, and please look at the statistics online. Just simply type in male suicide, USA or UK or Europe, and look at the amounts. It's more than alcoholism, I believe, in a lot of countries. I think it's the second highest rate of premature death in America. So that's in the past I'm talking. We've got to look now horribly at the next period and realise that a lot of people, a lot of men, are going to feel that they're going to fail. Fail their families, fail their businesses, fail their employees, and they're going to need a lot of support from people who just see them for what they are, whether it's a small business owner, whether it doesn't matter who it is. If they're affected by this martial law lockdown, then they're going to need support. And this also would apply to women. I'm going to reiterate this. I just have that affinity, obviously. I see a lot of feminist videos online, etc., etc. I'm not a chauvinist. I don't make any comments on them, etc. But sometimes us boys, we need to stick up for ourselves, and we need to remind ourselves that the pressures of society, especially if you have a young. I'm not in that situation, by the way, but if you have a young family, debts, and you're a small business and you're entrepreneurial, even if it's a burger van, I mean, that I'd be brutally honest with you. Somebody forced me into work now, I'd love a burger van. I'd love the opportunity to show my culinary skills off and talk to people during the day and make a little bit of money every week. Well, you can't, can you? So it's those kind of people that I would be concerned for, and I'd ask my subscribers and people listening that if you know small business owners, both men and women obviously, but especially men at the moment, who would be worrying about their families and the security and the assets that they've got, perhaps watching values drop. It's going to be a difficult time. And if you see this, or you know people that you might think are vulnerable, try and support them. Give them the odd phone call or message of encouragement. And, if you're in a position to help them, and their families, obviously, where you supported them during daily. And I've heard stories of this occurring before, places like Argentina, when they had their last collapse. And this was very recent. There were some brutal stories coming from Argentina a decade or two ago. But actually what happened was people started to remember the people that they bought their everyday items from, whether it was cigarettes or newspapers, and they helped them out. And then when they went back into the shops, once they reopened, once the economy stabilised, the shopkeepers remembered, the small business owners remembered, and they set aside special things for them, and they paid them back over time. They made it known that they really valued their custom base. And this is what this is. These suicides, believe it or not, are all about business, economy, and money. And they're going to increase. And I can promise you that. So really, maybe play this message back and share it, or maybe don't share it, and just be aware that there are going to be men and women around you that are going to be feeling enormous pressure economically for this. And if you've been not using them, but if you've been supporting them, and you can afford to carry on supporting them, if you've been giving a newsagent or a butcher £5 or £10 a week, go and give them £5 a week, or say to them, get in contact with them and say, look, I'll give you £5 a week when it's all opened again. Sort me out. Yeah, sort me out. That's all. And we'll make it a mutual agreement. I help you now, you help me later. That's the economy that we need to be living under, not the economy that they're pushing now. Cheers.